to Education, Leadership, and Beyond, Surviving and Thriving. My name is Andrew Marotta, host of the show, and welcome to the podcast. Welcome to all our live viewers here on Facebook. Proud member of the Education Podcast Network, Voice Ed Radio Canada, wherever you are taking in your podcast. Thank you so much for doing so. If you're listening on iTunes, leave us a positive comment and certainly give a shout out to today's guest, Brooks Black. Brooks is coming to us from Morganfield, Kentucky, by way of Pennsylvania many years ago. We're going to hear Brooks' story. He is a coach. He is a teacher. He is a dad. He's a husband. And he is certainly surviving and thriving. Brand new baby boy in his life. So we're going to meet Brooks here in just a moment. First, a quick word from our sponsor. Thanks to IXL for sponsoring today's podcast. I'd like to thank IXL for sponsoring today's podcast. Over 1 million teachers use IXL in their classroom every day. IXL is the most widely used online learning and teaching platform K through 12. It empowers schools with complete curriculum, thousands of instructional resources, robust reporting, assessment data, and more. It saves teachers a lot of valuable time with ready-made plans aligned to the standards and the textbooks. Built-in engagement tools like custom competitions make learning fun for students. And IXL's diagnostic is research proven to be a strong predictor of performance on standardized assessments. And the best part, everything I just mentioned is all integrated into one platform, so you can simplify your EdTech tools. Visit IXL.com to lead your students towards data-driven excellence today. The link is in the show notes. And again, appreciate IXL sponsoring today's podcast. All right. Thank you for that. Let's get rolling, friends. As I said, you're going to meet Brooks Black here in a moment, teacher and coach from Union County, Kentucky. And he had some changes in his life. He's got a brand new baby boy just born. He's headed to the state wrestling tournament. And when these changes come in our lives, whether it's a new child, whether it's a new job, whether it's moving from Pennsylvania to Kentucky, how do we handle them, right? Maybe you're an assistant principal right now and you're going to become a principal here. Maybe you're a teacher and you're going to become an administrator this spring or this summer. How do we handle those changes? 4 quick tips for you. Number 1, slow down. Slow down, get a grip on what's going on around you, and take in the environment. Number 2, ask others who's done it before. I'm going to ask Brooks about some mentors and coaches in his lives. He's surrounded by great people in his life. Ask other people who have done it. Number 3, enjoy the journey. Things are happening. It's new. It's hard. It's difficult. Life throws curveballs at you. Try to enjoy the journey as we're going through these changes. And lastly, maybe you're going to start some new traditions, right? Change is hard. Brooks says he's got the 8:30 to 12:30 baby slot there, taking care of the babies. And hey, maybe there's a new tradition in there. Certainly children changes change your lives, getting married, new jobs. So 4 quick tips to embrace those changes in your life. But enough of me chatting. Let's welcome in today's guest from right out of practice, Morganfield, Kentucky, Brooks Black. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Yeah, Brooks, thanks so much. I know how busy you are and fitting us in here during your busy schedule. We got to make sure you get home for feeding time.
Oh, yeah.
Cool. Well, Brooks, take a moment to introduce yourself. This is Brooks Black, friends. Again, from Kentucky. Brooks, why don't you say hello and introduce yourself?
Hey, everybody. Brooks Black, originally from Pennsylvania. Went to high school in New Jersey, northern New Jersey. Lived there for 4 years and then moved back, or went to University of Illinois, wrestled there for 4 years. And then I moved back to Pennsylvania and then moved down to Union County, Kentucky 7 years ago and met my wife down here. And we just brought our beautiful baby boy into the world January 19th, Boone Everett. He has my middle name. And then we have a almost 2-year-old daughter named Anna Lee.
Anna Lee and your wife, Emily here. Congratulations, all these things here. So Brooks, I just spoke about these changes, right? Embracing them. Couple tips there. What's something that you do? What is maybe a tip you have to embrace these changes?
I think a good tip that I go by is to look at people's different viewpoints. Almost the cliche of put yourself in somebody else's shoes. But being an EBD teacher, I really do every day. I'm quick sometimes to want to get frustrated or to jump onto something, but then it's like I almost have that take a step back and say, hold on. Did my student eat last night? Did my student sleep a full night of sleep like I did? So it's almost like that cliche of put yourself in someone else's shoes, but it's like take a deep breath before jumping in on something. And that's a big tip that I really the EBD job I learned pretty quick was to do that.
Good advice there. He's talking about emotional behavioral disability schools. Very challenging to teach in, right? Kids with severe issues there. Shout out to Bill Harris, Brooks, one of our school board members here in Port Jervis watching. Brooks, back to your family. Talk to me. You have a brand new baby boy. How are you and your wife doing? How's the household? And again, you're on the eve of wrestling playoffs. To say you're busy is an understatement.
Yeah, super busy. Everybody's doing great. The wife's transitioning. She had to learn pretty quick that I was I had a busy lifestyle with wrestling. She's not from a wrestling background. She's from a family that raises cattle in the middle of the state. So, she learned pretty quick that, this is my passion. And, what's nice is she teaches just about 100 yards away down the hall. We're a really small school. She teaches agriculture. And then our daughter goes to daycare in between us in the room. And then our son will be going there in just a few short weeks. So yeah, it's been a really good transition. Like you said, I have the 8:30 to 12:30 slot. So when I get home, I'll shower up, eat, and then it's daddy duty. Put Annalie to bed, and then we're back up at 6 o'clock and we're rolling. So it's good. And that's what's, I like it. I like a fast pace, keep you going and having things to do.
Congratulations there. Enjoy the journey. Brooks, teaching's a hard job, period. Certainly working in the behavioral disability, emotional behavioral disability area, quite challenging. Talk to me about your internal stress, your challenges on that job, because it is certainly unique.
Yeah, it's I learned a lot, really. Basically was told that somebody thought I'd be good at this job. And I went on the emergency certification for a year, and then COVID hit. And for the first 2 weeks, I thought I had to be a jerk. That's what I was told. You got to be stern with these kids and you got to be this. And I tried it. And those 2 weeks were terrible. I was like, this is not what I want to do at all. And I just stayed with it. I had really good mentors. And anyway, went in, got my master's, got into school, and I had a bachelor's from Illinois in like recreation, sport, and tourism. So this was all new to me, and I had to find out more about the kids and what they were going through before I could help them, and understanding that some of these kids, they don't have a dad in their life. They're on their fifth different grandpa that they're having to stay with. So the stress that, I would get frustrated with them quickly because it was like, why are they not listening to me? And then I quickly had to, like I said, after those 2 weeks, it was like, I had to take a step back and say, you know what, there's more to why Johnny is getting frustrated about something. There's more to why Jimmy doesn't want to go to class. Why Steven's falling asleep in class all the time. There's more to it, so for me, it was, I had to learn about my students, and then I had to open up a little bit to them about, hey, I've had my own struggles. Here's what I've struggled with. I've struggled with depression and anxiety before. And, I let them know. I saw a school psychologist at Illinois for 4 years. I struggle with test anxiety. I was not very good in school, but at the end of the day, we can work around that. We can find ways to work through our struggles and our disabilities. I tell my kids every day, I said, hey, you may have these labels, but we don't have to live by these labels. We don't have to live by this emotional or this disability and that disability. We can work through it and find ways to cope with it and our coping strategies. And, at the end of the day, I always let my kids know, even if we have a bad day and we got to have hard talks, I just let them know I'm proud of them. And I've had kids that are 13 years old when I get them as a freshman, and they're, got stick and poke tattoos, and we go down and we do life skills. I make them mop the mats and do laundry. And, we get done that. And I say, hey, I'm proud of you. And I had one kid look at me and he said, that's weird, coach. Ain't nobody ever told me that. And I'm like, man, right there. That's why I do it. They just want to feel loved, and that's a big thing. I'm a big guy, and I sometimes seem rough, but man, I'm a big teddy bear when it comes to my students.
Came right up to me in Union County, said hello, said, we got to meet. He's got these massive hands. I was like, whoa, wow. Brooks, what was it about you that someone maybe said, hey, I think you'd be good at this? What are some of those characteristics that they saw in you to point that out to you?
It was actually my Uncle Robert. That's my mentor. He watched me from 2014 until I moved down here at camp. We have about 250 kids that come to camp every summer from a bunch of different states. There's a school out of Tennessee that the coach has been coming for a long time, and they would bring some students with special needs. And Uncle Robert just saw me gravitate to those kids year in and year out until they graduated. And he just was like, man, just the compassion, the kindness. I just spent so much time with them and, helping them out and making sure that they had a good time. We had one kid that loved WWE, and he came and even was still coming after he graduated. And it was like Christmas getting to see him every summer. And then that, Robert just really saw saw that in me, that he thought I could help change kids' lives with just the big heart that I have.
Yeah. Good for you for responding to that and answering the call. We need educators like you. We need male role models like you for our students. Brooks, you're a wrestler. Wrestling's been part of your life the whole time. Blair Academy is a major program here in North Jersey. And then again, wow, Big Ten wrestling. Talk to me about the lessons over your lifetime of wrestling that you now use as a husband, you use as a father, as well as a teacher. Talk to me about some of those things that you bring to the table because of wrestling.
Yeah, so many. Perseverance is a big one. A big one that I use with my students is accountability. That was a big thing that I learned through wrestling was accountability. Hard work. That everybody works hard, and we're at being at Blair. Everybody worked hard on my team. But it just I think having good values, through and learning that through wrestling. I was never one to throw my headgear, to throw a fit if I lost. That wasn't what I was taught, through wrestling at Blair, under Jeff Buxton, who's a Hall of Fame, legend coach. It was, being tenacious. You wrestle hard, being humble, speak softly but carry a big stick was a big one that I live by. I never, even doing interviews and stuff, it's not, especially being a high school coach, it's not about me. It's about these kids, and so through wrestling, I just have learned to stay humble. And through my parents, they're like, hey, I was the number one wrestler in the country for 3 years. And my parents were like, hey, a big thing is watching your social media. You never see, I don't ever comment, I make comments and posts, but I've always just, remained humble about that stuff. That's just the kind of person I am. Through wrestling that I learned is stay humble, stay humble.
Yeah. Well, wrestling can certainly humble you.
100%. Sure. Yeah. Oh
yeah. But Brooks, not all wrestling programs are created equal. Not all wrestlers. I mean, you landed at the Big Ten Illinois national program. Incredible, the Big Ten. Tell me about your experience there and maybe some things that you brought with you from Illinois.
Yeah. I had a few different choices. Ohio State was after me pretty hard. Iowa was after me, Oklahoma, Cornell. And then one of the assistant coaches at Illinois actually wrestled for Blair in the early 2000s.
Okay.
That was my pull over to there. And then I wrestled under Jim Heffernan, Mark Perry, and Jeremy Hunter. I ended up being a two-time national qualifier. I was around round of 12. I lost in the blood round is what they call it, to be a top 8 in the country my sophomore year. And then I took 5th and 8th at the Big Ten tournament, and then got hurt junior year at the Big Ten tournament, got my last concussion, and then didn't compete. So, lived with a little regret, didn't live the right lifestyle and stuff for a little while, and just some things happened. But what I took away from wrestling there is, it just, wrestling's such a small part of your life. But what I took away was just the team. I still, some of my best friends, I, roommates that were in my wedding, and the friendships that I made, and just the work ethic, from college wrestling and wrestling on that big of a stage, I took home, with me, and what I talk to our wrestlers about now.
It's a big stage.
Oh yeah.
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 Brooks, how do you, I was a basketball guy, there was 5 guys on the court. It wasn't all on me. You win, you lose, but you could still do the best you can with your team. Wrestling, it's you and that other guy or girl. And how'd you make sure that you weren't afraid to lose versus I'm confident to win? I mean, one-on-one there's nowhere to hide.
Yeah. That's what it's like, a mental game that you got to play a mental game with yourself all the time. I used to do a lot of self-talk. And to be honest, a little bit into college, that's why I started seeing a sports psychologist, because things creep in. You got a target on your back. I was supposed to, forums and stuff being posted. This guy's supposed to be the best guy. This is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be national champ. You're supposed to make the Olympic team. You were the best guy coming out of high school, and a lot of it, that pressure builds up, and sometimes it's hard to internalize. And that's why I started seeing a sports psychologist, was to help me through some of that mental stuff, because I struggled with anxiety. I get so worked up before my matches that I would throw up, and I'd have to sip on water, but I couldn't strap my headgear because it was too tight on my throat. The pressure builds up. But at the end of the day, it's you have to tell yourself, you've been trained, you've trained, you're good, you're okay. It's that self-talk is, and I'm a firm believer in self-talk. I think that it's a huge thing. And not even just sports, it's my kids in my class. We talk about self-talk a lot. If you're letting your mind wander and putting, thoughts that aren't good into your head, well, that's what you're going to think, So, but if you're reminding yourself that, hey, I'm doing the right things, and it doesn't have to be anything extraordinary, just small stuff, hey, I'm going to get up at this time and make sure everything's done before I go and do my second thing I want to do. It's like a self-talk of, hey, I'm going to get up and I'm going to make sure I tell 5 kids that I know don't have a lot of friends at school. I'm going to make sure I talk to them. And that's something I still do at this school. And I did it in high school too. I started a thing at Blair. All the wrestlers sat at the same table. We used to have these giant tables at boarding school, and I would find somebody in the school out of 450 kids. And every week I started making all the wrestlers bring somebody and eat with us at lunch. And we had to know about the kid, and they had to stand up and talk about them and something they liked. So I do it here at the school. The kids that I see in the corners are the kids that I know struggle with that social side of stuff. They know that Coach Black has their back, so I say hi to them in the morning. I make sure I holler at them down the hall, so-and-so, hey man, how's it going today? It's making that self-talk of, hey, it's having purpose every day and making somebody feel that they're cared about. And like I said, knowing that they got the big wrestling, one of the big wrestling coach. Well, I'm the big one. Our other coach is a 5'5" little guy. So, but it means a lot to them. They know that Coach Black says hi to them every morning, almost the exact same kids. And then if I see another one, I go talk to them and just check on them. Even just a fist bump sometimes is all it is. But, they know that fist bump's coming every day.
I like the sound of that. Coach Black got your back. I like that.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, they know it. They know it.
Get that on a shirt. If you're watching live, friends, please jump in and say hello. Offer a question to Brooks here, our guest tonight from Morganfield, Kentucky. Brand new father, second time around. He's on the verge of wrestling playoffs here. Brooks, after college, you went on to dabble in the MMA, some professional fighting there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's another vicious sport. Mm-hmm. Tell me about that kind of goal there and doing that.
Man, it's something I've always wanted to do. I just have always liked it. And my best friend from Blair, Marky Gray, has been fighting out for a couple years. And I would watch him. Me and Emily would watch him every fight. I talked to him the day before, and I'd say, I'm doing this. And then she's like, oh, yeah, okay. Well, the next day I'm like, nah, I ain't doing it. Well, then it got to the point where I was like, nah. I was like, I really, really want to do this. And
you were married already. You were
married? We were married. Yeah, and she was actually pregnant. She was pregnant with Anna Lee, and then my first fight, she gave birth. I fought June. Annalie was born March 23rd, and I fought June 15th. So, yeah. So, but here's what's so cool about it, right? It's like all the kids, like our team, we're a small community. I started training. I was 300 pounds. I was the heaviest I've ever been in my life. Just, and I was happy. I mean, I married my wife. Everything was good. But I still just, it was like I had that regret, right? I just wasn't happy with what happened in college. And I was like, I'm out of my prime to the wrestling. Like the kids who were young were so good. I was like, I'm going to do an MMA fight. So long story short, the first fight happens. They end up finding a guy out of Africa named Badu Zaki. The video's on Instagram. It's pretty wild. He ended up putting his, like, gigantic dude. This dude's like, he had like a whole crew with him with cameras. He is like 400,000 followers on Instagram. He's a champion power lifter. Dude's gigantic. And we were in there, and he ends up putting his fist on my face, and we were in the first face-offs. And so I grabbed his wrist in and pulled him in. And, I'm like, man, we ain't doing this, old partner. I said, we ain't doing this. And he starts cussing at me. He's like, I hope you bring your family. He ends up smacking me up across the side of the face with his Senegalian flag. Dude, it was wild. They were like, get this guy's out of here. Because the promotion that I fought in is a step below UFC. It's the LFA.
Wow.
And so long story short, that one happens. Everything. I mean, my legs were black and blue. They ended up stopping the fight. I got split open from a headbutt. Got 10 stitches in it. So we get done that one. They wanted, so this other promotion about 45 minutes away wanted me to fight in November. My wife's like, absolutely not. She's like, you're not doing it. So our heavyweight, his dad's our MMA coach. He has a guy who was just in the UFC. So long story short on that one. So I get booked for another one, May 11th in it's called SICP 5. And I told Uncle Robert, I said, he didn't come to the first one because we had wrestling camp. I said, if I do it again, you're in my corner. So I started training. The guys are, man, it was so cool. Our high school team coming around, they were cheering me on. I'd be training every day before practice. I get up, I run study tables on Tuesdays and Thursdays for our wrestlers that are struggling in school from 6 o'clock to 7 o'clock. And then we roll into school. And then I had school, and then I had wrestling practice till 5:30. And then I went to MMA from 6 to 7:30 at night, 4 nights a week. So I wasn't getting home till late. And my wife was so passionate that she said, if it makes me happy, she's happy.
Wow.
So long story short, we get up there. I fight that Saturday night, and man, the entire crowd is Union County chanting my name. They did this big tunnel for me walking out, probably 100 people lining up. Uncle Robert's walking with me. I had my fight banner, Big Rig on it, had my Big Rig Tag MMA shirt on. We get up there. I'm fighting this dude who's all tatted up, has like Nazi tattoos on him, this bald head. He's looking at me across this cage, and I'm like, I ain't losing this one. There's no way. So we get at it. I 1-2 him in the face, get him up against the cage. I pick him up, slam him, choked him out in like a minute 10. And it was like all the emotions. I won a lot of wrestling, dude. This thing was like, it was crazy. The crowd's chanting Union County, going on. So I make eye contact, and right where the door is to come out of that cage, there's my wife standing there, and she's crying. And to be honest, that's my last fight. I'm done.
Yeah.
Afternoon, they moved the gym like 40 minutes away, but dude, it was it gave me to compete and win. It gave me that feeling of what I had in high school again. And so that's my short version of the MMA time, and I would keep doing it, but I like being a dad.
You got little ones at home. Yeah.
I like punching in the face, but I like being a dad and a husband a lot more.
Wow. What a great story. I did put that article about your story in the show notes there. So that was pretty cool there. Well, hey, man, congratulations on winning that last one. We got the legendary Coach Bausch, the women's basketball coach from where I went to college, Guilford. She threw a question in there, Coach Black. How do you incorporate mental skills into the physical practice for your team? Great question, Coach Bausch.
For us, to be honest, a huge part that we do is our goals. We print out goal sheets, and our guys have to write their team goals and how we can achieve those as a team. And then we have then the second page is their individual goals and how they can achieve those. And to be honest, a lot of times we have guys that got to redo their goals because, either they set their goal too low or they didn't really put too much thought into them. And why I like it so much is, if they have days where they're slacking or they're, they're feeling sorry for themselves. Hey, I want you to go over there and pull your goals off the wall and reread them to me, reread them. Is this really what you think that you want to reach. We had a kid, our 144 pounder this year as a freshman. His goals, we had him read a month and a half ago, and his goals were to win a match on JV and to make it to JV state. Well, this son of a gun won 30 varsity matches and just took second in the regionals as a freshman. So he had to redo his goals.
A little higher.
Yeah. So, but he didn't think he was going to be a starter for us. And guess what? We had things happen. We had kids that were returning state placers, didn't come out for wrestling. So he got his shot and he made the most of it. So that's a big thing. The goal setting and keeping them accountable on that. And I think another really, really, really good one that Robert taught us, me and our other coach Jarvis, is you say everybody's name in practice every day at least 3 times.
Wow.
Everybody's name, whether it's Johnny, hey, looking good, good job. Jimmy, hey, I really liked how you hit that move. Saying everybody's name in practice, whether they're a first-year wrestler, whether they've wrestled for 10 plus years, everybody's name gets said 3 times at least in practice by a different coach. And that is that's a big one. That's and that goes a long way with a lot of our kids, because we have kids that never start for us. We have kids that come out for 1 year and they're like, man, I wish I would have started this before. So that's a really big one on the mental side is making sure everybody knows that they're welcomed on the team.
I love that. That's a great technique about building relationships there. Incredible. Brooks, you've mentioned a mentor of yours, Uncle Robert, several times on the show. It definitely helped steer your life towards education, opened his home up to you. He's done a lot for you. Tell me about Uncle Robert and how he is a mentor and some of the things he did to shape your life.
Yeah, him and his brothers started a huge telecommunications company called Irvin Cable Construction here in Sturgis years back in the 80s. And then, they've been super successful. And then he's been the long time. He was a state champ for Union County. They have, I think in the family, like 24 state championships.
Wow.
It's a huge family. Yeah. And they're unbelievable people in the community. Just the time that Robert's given to kids, hauling them places, it's the values and the morals that he has instilled into the program and into myself, and just letting me know that, everything's going to be okay as long as you make steps towards everything to be okay. Right. Like you can say, like, basically, like he would tell me, like, hey, you keep telling me you want to do this and you don't like how you're living and you don't like that this is what you're doing, but show me, your goals, your steps. What steps are you taking to better yourself into that position? And that's kind of stuck with me with him is like, like I said, we laugh about it. I would call him on such small little things that I was doing in my life to get out of this barrel that I felt like I was crawling out of. And then it was like, I finally got to the top of that barrel, and the top of that barrel for me was when I was able to get into the master's program after not being able to get into 2 other schools because of things I chose to do at Illinois, and then passing my praxis exam to get my master's, and just the work that I put in, grades that I never saw before, and, to pay for it on my own. And to, that was like the final, like getting out of that barrel, and I had gotten married and everything. And obviously that's just a little bit different on the side of the emotions, but to get out of that barrel of this is the occupation that I know I'm meant to do. And now I can do it because I put this time and effort into doing this. And that was from him just staying on me. He wouldn't get mad at me. Like, it was like he was stern, but it was such like I knew he cared about me. Even if I messed up, I knew it. I knew that he had my back and it was going to be okay as long as I made steps to better myself in the direction of the person that he knew that I could be.
Yeah. Great story there, Brooks. I love it. And again, pushed you towards education. Saw you working with kids, pushed you towards it. There's always that person in our life that can do it. So thanks for sharing that story.
Yeah.
Awesome. Good for you, Brooks. You landed in the right spot. Incredible there. I had a chance to visit Union County this summer and again saw what an amazing place there. Brooks, in a couple of weeks, wrestling's going to be over. Talk to me about resetting, right? You've been grinding months here. You have a newborn at home. What are some things that you're going to do personally to recharge, relax, maybe take your foot off the gas a little bit before, again, summertime and then next school year?
Yeah. I wish I could say we reset, but we take a week off and then we start our elementary league at all the elementary schools.
Wow.
And we go for 4 weeks, and we have 2 little tournaments, and we coach them, and our team, our boys and girls help coach these kids. It's our future.
Yeah.
And then we roll right into freestyle and Greco. I'm the national team's coach for Kentucky. I was big into freestyle and Greco wrestling, which is, if people aren't familiar, it's the Olympic styles. We'll have the Rainey twins and a couple other kids. We're getting ready to go to Vegas at the end of April to try to make world teams. We'll take a little bit of time, but for me and Uncle Robert and our buddy Shannon, we head up to Uncle Robert's property we all hunt on, and we go shed hunting, and we start getting ready for our next year's deer hunting season. And that's my unwinding with my wife and my kids. We spend a lot of time at home, and we'll travel a little bit to see her family. But for me, outside of my time with my family, my reset is me and Uncle Robert and our buddy Shannon. We go up and we work together on the hunting farm, and we don't talk about wrestling. It's a good time to just relax. And then I became pretty country down here. I was country back home, but we do a big crawfish boil every year.
I was going to ask you about that.
From Louisiana.
Okay.
So that's April 5th this year. I got a lot of friends and stuff coming in. We got live music this year, so we'll have a good time with that. And it's fun. Mom and Dad will come down and see me again, but yeah, it's fun, especially in the springtime. I do life skills with my students, and I also pull some of the MSD kids in with us, more of the high functioning students. And I had some people reach out to me who were like, how in the heck did you get this approved? Last year I brought in my chainsaw and my 0-turn lawnmower, and we went through for about 2 or 3 days. We did safety on everything. And then my son of a guns in my EBD room and a couple of the MSD kids, they learned how to use a chainsaw. We cut some wood. Wow. And then my 0-turn was another week. I took a week to talk about it with them. And then I turned every kid loose, even some of the MSD kids that are higher functioning, some of that aren't even really verbal. I put them suckers on that 0-turn, and they rode down on the soccer field. I didn't tell them how to turn the blades on, but I knew. I was like, I'm okay. It tops out at like 6 miles an hour, so I might be able to run that if I got to jump on there. Some of them I would get on there and put them in my lap, and we'd ride, and man, it just puts a smile on your face. Sometimes when we think it's bad, it ain't all that bad. Yeah. I see these kids day in and day out that I could walk into a room for 2 minutes and leave and come back 30 seconds later, and you'd think that I ain't seen them in 2 months. So that's my reset too. Is the spring I kind of get my crazy ideas on what I want to teach these kids on, during my life skills stuff. We grill. We had a grill cook off last year. I came in third. I had one of my students who cooked up, and man, he won the lottery, man. I had an extra gold medal I gave him, and his mom said he talked about it. He wanted to post it all over Facebook that he beat Coach Black in the cheeseburger challenge. And so, yeah, I brought my grill in and everything. So it was, yeah, like I said, I come up with some pretty cool ideas. I don't do the normal paperwork on a life skills deal, because paper, they're not learning life skills writing on paper. They learn it out doing that kind of stuff.
Beautiful. April 5th, Brooks Black crawfish boil, Cajun style. Enjoy
Cajun style.
That sounds a lot of fun. I want to see some pictures of that, Brooks. And who knows, maybe one year I'll come.
Heck yeah.
Brooks, this has been great. But I'm going to give you a gift right now. I'm going to give you a wish here. I got my genie lamp here. And what's a wish? If I were to offer you a wish for educators, for education, for teachers, for kids in schools, what would that wish be? What do we need to be doing with our kids and our schools?
I think if I had to wish, I wish for people the educators and for people to understand the unknown of the unknown kids, if that makes sense. Like, with all the these shootings and just, a lot of these kids just, it's like, I wish, the unknown of the unknown kids are the kids that like I said earlier in this show, the kids that are not mainstream are cared about, are checked on, are talked to. And I have a lot of those kids. that some don't even really leave the classroom because of anxiety, and we work through those. So my wish is give everybody a fair chance, really, is how to say it. Give everybody the fair chance of your star basketball player. Give the same love and care to Johnny, who's a 4-star lineman, as Steven, who sits by himself every day at lunch. Give the same to him. Bring the same energy to him, the same energy. And that's my wish. Give everybody the same energy that your big time athletes get as Steven, who sits by himself.
Yeah. Well said there. And you offered a great technique there too. Every kid's name gets said 3 times at practice out loud. I thought that was fantastic. So Brooks, anything else you wanted to share? This was great. I could talk to you all day. He's got 2 kids. He mentioned 2 of his wrestlers, high level, going to be wrestling at a high level there. Hopefully maybe future Olympians one day. But anything else you wanted to share?
Man, just, I know on the, something that I saw a quote. I got my quote if you want the quote now. And it's
we can bring it, bro. You on fire.
Hey, this is one of my favorites, and it's Uncle Tim, which is Robert's older brother. And he comes up with some of the best quotes I've ever heard. And one of my favorites is nothing in life is cheap, easy, or free. And I think it's awesome. I think it's an awesome quote. And that's what we tell our wrestlers all the time. It's just something that Uncle Tim has always said. And he just the way he talks, he's got that kind of Southern thing, and face gets all red. He said, "Hey, boys, nothing in life's cheap, easy, or free." And then it's like, here we go. And then we start clapping it up and we break it down, So, I think that's one of my favorite quotes since I've met Uncle Tim that I've, kind of lived by.
Brooks Black here. Incredible. Brooks, it's been a lot of fun. A lot of people watching live. Please jump in and leave Brooks a comment. Brooks, we got Port Jervis School Board watching you here. So it's good stuff.
I love it.
Thank you, Mr. Harris. He liked that, what you said there about the names. Brooks, you got to get feeding duty, and I got to get rolling. Let's get rapid fire, Brooks. These are quick things. You're about to get pinned. I need a quick answer. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's roll.
Here we go. Last book you read?
I read Johnny Boone on the Cornbread Mafia.
Okay. Nice.
There's a lot of backstory to that, and I'll give you that at some other point.
last movie you saw?
Big Daddy, Adam Sandler. Favorite movie. Still watch it all the time.
You're about to enter the world of kids' movies now, bro. You're going to become an expert.
Actually, Frozen would be last night is what I watched. And then I went on Daddy duty. I got to watch Big Daddy.
You were about to do it there. Last concert you went to?
Cody Johnson in Lexington last spring.
Nice. Favorite dish?
Oh, got to go crawfish.
Beautiful. Send me some pictures this year. You've wrestled around the country. You've traveled a lot. Where's your favorite place to travel?
Oh, man, I'll tell you what. I absolutely loved I used to travel with my mom up to Michigan, up to I'm blanking on it. It's on
the lake there?
It's up on the peninsula, Mackinac Island.
Yeah,
absolutely loved it. That was probably my favorite place. We used to wrestle at a big Michigan tournament up there. I was super young, but that was probably one of the coolest places I've ever been.
No cars.
No, it was super cool. And me and Mom traveled everywhere. Dad was with my brother, and he was a swimmer. And so me and Mom got tight, and that's where Mackinac Island, we would go up almost every year. That was probably one of my favorite places to travel.
Dude, when your kids get older, take them on the loop, man. It's fantastic. What is your go-to move? If you could only do one wrestling move, what is it?
Oh, mine was Russian tie. It's called a Russian tie from standing. It's like a lock with the arm, and that's what I was known for.
Jesus, I'm glad you didn't do it to me while we were there. Union County Schools is fill in the blank.
Union County Schools is a caring place. It's a caring place, and that's one thing I can say. Our people here, like I said, it's small. We have 600 kids in the school, and we care. Everybody cares.
Yeah, I sense that. The community, too. They have an incredible luncheon with those tables.
Mm-hmm.
Really cool there. Kentucky is fill in the blank.
Kentucky's weather is wild. We just got ice and snow last week, and it's 70 degrees today. So it's wild. Kentucky's weather is wild.
In 2025, I will fill in the blank.
I will be going back to school to hopefully get administration, get my next master's. That's my plan.
In 2025, I will stop doing fill in the blank.
Sweating the small stuff. I still let little things bother me too much.
Great answer. If you had a superpower, it seems like you got a few superpowers, but if you had a superpower, what would it be?
I think it would be flying. Flying for sure, so I could go home quicker. It's been a long time, and when I was at Illinois, that was a 14-hour trip, and now it's 11. So I go home one time a year.
Yeah.
So flying, so I can go home and see the family.
I like it. What's a pet peeve of yours?
Oh man, I'd say a pet peeve of mine is people chewing loud. That's a big one for me. Loud chewing.
Dude, I hear that. I ask this question a lot. I hear that so often.
One of the biggest things I notice is people how they chew their gum, like like chewing on like cud or something. I can't do it.
At 8 a.m. on Saturday morning, I am fill in the blank.
We will be weighing in for the 2025 state championships day 2, going for our 16th state title and our 8th in the last 9 years.
Union County Schools, the Braves have won 8 out of 9 and 16 total.
We went on a 7-year run. We lost in 2023, and then we won last year.
Wow.
I think I forgot my math right. Like I said, I wasn't good in school.
We
lost in 2023, won it again last year. And then hopefully we'll get it done. Good, good Lord willing.
Yeah. Good luck, Coach. One thing you're curious about.
I'd say how to be a big one I'm curious about is how to get more involvement with students in our community is a big one. And let me back up. Students from like EBD, MSD, how to get those kids more involved. Places in our community that once they come out of our walls, how to get them more involved. Places they can go.
Fantastic. Something about Brooks Black that people do not know about.
That my dad was raised Mennonite and got out of it when he was 17. So to say they don't know, we got shunned by our family when I was like 12 years old, and we weren't allowed back around the community because my dad's immediate family got out of it, which is kind of wild.
Yeah. How about that? Brooks, you shared a great quote to end us with. Say it again one more time. Give us that quote
Nothing
again.
in life is cheap, easy, or free.
Brooks Black's friend, teacher, coach, dad, husband, and one who is making a difference in that school community. Brooks, this was fantastic, man. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on.
You got to take care of yourself now. No more MMA fights. You got to take care of that family, man.
That's the plan. That's the plan.
Awesome. Well, good luck in the playoffs here. Wrestling is an incredible sport. Huge here in Port Jervis. We got home of the Bannock brothers, Olympic champions, Iowa wrestling. So we're big fans here in Port Jervis, and great to talk today, man.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right, Brooks, we're going to sign off on the podcast. Leave Brooks some positive comments in the chat. I loved it about saying the name 3 times. So let's say Brooks' name in the chat there. And Brooks, we are going to sign off. You stay on the line a second. For all of our live viewers, thanks for tuning in, everyone. Amazing educators around the country that we just don't hear about enough. This was very inspiring today. Brooks Black, everybody. Brooks, thanks, man.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, stay on the line, friend. Yep. Talk to you soon. Keep surviving and thriving, friends.